The Global Web Index shows that China is leader in terms of active social networkers around the world, followed by the United States of America and India. Even though these three nations are at the top in terms of the number of users, in terms of penetration relative to their total population, they are much lower than other countries. The global average social network penetration today is 52%, with the Philippines and Indonesia at the top with an estimated 76% of their active online users, followed by Malaysia, Brazil, and Russia, before getting to India with 62%. The next countries in descending penetration percentage are Singapore, Poland, Mexico, and Hong Kong, before getting to the United States with 53%. Next come Canada with 50% and China with 49%, followed by Australia, the United Kingdom, and the Netherlands, which has an estimated 45% of its active online users. The reason for the above distribution is that emerging market consumers are more highly engaged today with their social networks, with social networkers actively messaging friends, sharing content, and getting involved in groups. In the United States, Canada, and the European Union countries, social networkers are most likely to belong either messengers or content sharers, but not both. Again, the result is that in terms of penetration, the Philippines, Indonesia, and Malaysia are the top three. Social networks are used increasingly by organizations in education, business, government, and civil society for communication and knowledge sharing. They have become more effective using various social media, which have become, for many individuals, organizations, and communities, their mode of communication with multiple networks, thus emerging as new global multimedia environment as compared to uni-network and uni-medium environment of past years. As to their impact in politics, economics, and society, we can say that no longer do individuals and groups need huge communication infrastructures in place to communicate, so that today thousands or millions of interested or connected people are a click away from each other. No longer do corporate or political leaders have control of their messages, nor of the inherent advantages over certain communication channels, and no longer do they control the media used. Social media are used today in politics every day to promote ideas. Just look at recent presidential elections in the United States, or Egypt, and other events in North Africa and the Middle East this year. The so-called Arab Spring has been leveraged by social media and networks. Leaders and network members endeavor to link with voters, test ideas, policies, messages, and just need to communicate between networks and within networks. Social networks also help the economy. In fact, they create a place for people to get together. For many, it is just a way to keep in touch. But for others, it is a way to find a job, create a business network. Ultimately, it can be a way to make money. As said earlier, social networking sites give a place for people to advertise and inform people about their product. Not only can companies put an ad on the networking site, but they are able to group customers or potential customers in the same place to tell them about changes and enhancements in their products or services, innovation, and promotion. For society as a whole, social media, and in particular, social networking, have good and bad impacts. For example, studies have shown that being part of a social network has a positive impact, including increased quality of life and a reduction in the risk of health problems. Internet users have larger social networks than non-users and use social networking sites to maintain those relationships which facilitate more effective face-to-face interaction. Internet users also augment their offline social networks, not replacing them. Social networking sites bring people with common interests together, offer exposure to new ideas from around the world, and lower inhibitions to overcome social anxiety. From the perspective of positives, individuals and group benefit from staying connected. On the negative side, social networking sites may entice people to spend more time online and less time interacting face-to-face. U.S. teens spend an average of 9 hours per week on social networking sites. Teens growing up with these sites may not be aware that the information they post is public and that photos and text can be retrieved even after deletion. In general, users of social networks and social media incur decreased privacy and increased intrusion by unwanted solicitations and distractions. In the time I have been doing this presentation, someone could have put together a website, created a blog, and communicated poisonous or threatening or inflammatory messages and share them with millions. In this case, there is assumed credibility that is false and may incite undesirable behavior. This shows that it's up to the social network to establish long-term credibility and thus influence. Consequences from oversharing personal information include vulnerability to sexual or financial predators and lost job opportunities from employers finding embarrassing photos or comments. Social networking sites are increasingly created to make money, not to improve people's lives. The ethics involved are yet to be accepted by many sectors of our globalized society. Social networking helps people form groups. Firstly, through the social web, it has become increasingly easy to find and connect with people sharing common interests and worldviews. Secondly, it is getting easier by the day to set up online groups online, attract followers, and see them coalesce around a shared vision or common mission. Participating in social networks may be very different from passive sharing to active problem solving. At the higher level of engagement, people actually start jointly creating things by using text, audio, or video. Such efforts are well represented by social media sites such as Wikipedia. There's increased inclusion and participation, higher volume of involvement, and more people are involved in all countries. The ease of getting started and participating encourages companies and networks to get engaged and interact. Social networking, SOCNET, and social media, SOCMED, now tend to become the network and media choice. Collective action can materialize in many ways. Just look at Egypt, as cited earlier, or in 2008, when more than 50,000 Estonians were mobilized over the web to clean up garbage around their country in one day. Social media has also a huge impact on families and businesses. The way organizations used to keep in touch and make business has changed totally with all these tools that keep people close, even though sometimes it does not mean seeing each other more than before. So where are we, or you, really with social networking and social media today? A very recent report from the Pew Research Center in Washington, D.C. tells us the following basic statistics. Adults in the United States like social media, an estimated 65% in 2011, up from 61% in 2010 and 5% in 2005, of all U.S. adults now use social networking at least one time a day. Most growth in the number of users and volume of use is with people 30 years old or older. Looking at 18 to 29-year-olds, 83% use social networking daily. Approximately 69% of women, commonly called power users, use social networking, and 60% of men. In general, there are 4 accepted media strategies or practices that are in play in the social world today. First, there is the practice of predictive practitioner. Typically, there is a minimal involvement in this case, since they rarely reach out to different and new markets and networks. Practitioners seek and live in certainty, do minimal experiments, and seek ongoing monitoring and reporting with established analytics. Secondly, we have the creative experimenter, who is highly engaged within networks and reaches out to unknown, untapped network members. The experimenters thrive on uncertainty and often follow what Apple does, namely, develop products and services that promote them with little substantiating research and test marketing. Due to their connection with customers and employees, experimenters seek out information, feedback, and listen to them, and most importantly, they respond to what they hear. The third strategy of practice is that of an ongoing, well-established social media participant, the so-called social media champion. Champions include large efforts designed for predicted results. They often depend on close collaboration across multiple functions and include external entities. Communication is primarily directed to typical targets, existing, past, and future audiences. The fourth strategy or practitioner is the social media transformer, which engages in large-scale dispersed interactions that extend from inside the company to other companies, pushing stakeholders to use the unexpected and spontaneous to improve the way their organizations do business. Overall, in this case, there is high investment and activity in social media that builds off the champion, increasing involvement, communication, and relationship building with non-typical audiences to expand the number of people being communicated with and to reach out to remote potentials. Considering the overall benefits, risks, and costs of each of the four strategies, it is up to each organization and participants, collaborators, to choose which of them is more suited to their priorities and which should be implemented. However, the critical point that is often missed is that a company or organization or political group may implement in practice more than one strategy, depending on which social network or networks is being targeted and what outcomes are being sought. There is something unique about ethics and social networking. Entering the social networking and social media worlds involves risks that didn't exist a decade ago. You may ask what risks exist. Data theft, involuntary information leakage, targeted attacks, network vulnerability, spam and phishing, content alteration, malware and dissemination, business reputation, infrastructure and maintenance costs, and ultimately productivity losses. Now it's up to all participants to monitor what's being said and shared. Let's take a look at a list of ways communities, organizations, and individuals can minimize being threatened by abuse and how to minimize it. First, engage everyone in the organization so that they develop a multidisciplinary perspective. Second, document social media use, past and future. Third, perform risk assessment, clearly identifying your vulnerabilities. Fourth, obtain and provide social media training. Fifth, monitor intended and unintended social media channels. All these strategies will increase the likelihood of secure, safe, and intended use of social media with proper social networks, including reliability. In the legal world, clients and others within the industry have been known to create fake profiles to friend jurors and access information in someone's private account. This information has been known to inappropriately influence lawyers, witnesses, judges, and even members of the jury. Owners of copy, trade secrets, and intellectual property have to watch for threats and unwanted access to their copyrights and illegal changes to them. Other ethical questions and threats from social networking including posting illegal and threatening messages, reduced privacy and ease of access to others' information, feelings of confidence that you are the only source of information to your profile and others' messages about you. A few comments on virtual teams, social networks, and social media. Members of such teams are spread worldwide, overcoming time zones, distances, and even many cultural issues. These members enable teams to be highly diverse and get the good of diversity. The teams become highly trusting of its members, but this must be watched and monitored closely so as not to break up the teams. Microsoft is a big user of virtual teams within its operations in the United States and worldwide, both internally or externally to its employees. Virtual teams are easily set up, organized, reorganized, and dissolved when not needed. They tend to be highly flexible and responsive to changes in the business environment and the marketplace. Due to their performance-oriented nature, they are often less open and oriented to sharing knowledge with third parties. There are 5 must-dos in the optimal use of social media. Number 1, choose carefully what networks to be involved in and which media to use. 2, pick the media application carefully or create your own. 3, ensure there is activity alignment where the activity by the creator and network complement the vision and goals of the organization that's represented. 4, integrate the social media into the overall promotions plan and communications plan of the organization or individuals involved. 5, provide access to all, not just targets. In terms of participation protocols and behavior, try to emphasize the following. Be social by being active. Post regularly and respond immediately. Be interesting. Make it worth reading and participating in. Otherwise, you will be talking to yourself. Be humble. Work off the successes already established and add to them. Look to change what you are doing and respond to the marketplace. Seem unprofessional. Don't be too professional, glitzy, or show-offish. The network members you are communicating with are thinking of you as one of them, not someone or something communicating to. Be honest. It pays off. When in doubt, don't give members and other participants the thought that you may be putting across an illegal, inappropriate, distasteful, or bad message. If you do, you will be voided and ignored in the future. In conclusion, don't forget to operate by this thought. 100% of the time, social media is all about participation, sharing, and collaboration, rather than just straightforward advertising and selling. Social media, without a doubt, has opened up communication to more and more messages, to more participants, and with more positive results. Please allow me a final reflection. Regardless of the environment, poverty, or peace, almost all of today's challenges are also dealt with in one or in another way through the Internet. Online social networks play an increasingly important role in connecting people and offering spaces where groups of individuals can work on solutions and push for change. At the outset, I am certain that positive organizational and community change is the main aspiration of us all. Let's participate and contribute. Let's all network and share. Thank you.
Thank you again for your presentation.